purpose of this video is to talk about competition, perfect competition in the long run. The graph on the left shows the market, supply, and demand. The horizontal axis measures the quantity produced, and these quantities are being measured in thousands now. So this is 200,000, 400,000, 600,000. Vertical axis measures the price and the cost. So this graph on the left shows the situation in the market. S is the supply, D is the demand. The graph on the right shows the situation for the firm. The marginal cost, average total cost, and average variable cost functions, quantities, price, cost. These quantities are measured in hundreds. So in this situation, what's the price going to be? Well, the price is going to be set in the market. The firm can't do anything about the price. The market sets the price, and it depends upon the market supply of the product and the market demand for the product. You've got two demand curves here. D is the initial demand, and D2 is going to be the demand after some sort of a change. So looking just at D and the supply curve, the equilibrium price is going to be $3.50, since that's the price where supply equals demand, $3.50, and the quantity sold is going to be 400,000. The price is $3.50, since that's where supply equals demand. Now the firm has to sell at the market price. They have to sell their product at $3.50, since it's a perfectly competitive situation. If they try to charge a higher price, they won't sell any of the product. So for the firm, the demand curve is perfectly elastic at the market price of $3.50. So there's the firm's demand curve, horizontal, perfectly elastic at the market price. Now, how much output is our firm going to produce? They are going to produce, if they want to maximize profits, where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So the blue line over here shows the marginal cost. The orange line shows the marginal revenue. They cross right there. So that's the quantity they would choose. That quantity is about 500. So there's the quantity they would choose, since that's where MR equals MC. Now how much profit or loss will they make? Well, their profit or loss is going to be 0, because at the quantity they choose, 500, the average total cost is $3.50. Up to the ATC and over, it's the same as the price. So since the price and the average total cost are the same, their economic profit has to be 0. They're breaking even. So now the question is, what happens if something changes the market demand for this product and the demand curve shifts from D to D2? That would be an increase in demand. So what will be the consequences in this market of an increased demand from D to D2? Well, if the demand is increased because of D2, the price is going to rise, because now supply and demand are the same at a price of $4.50. So this increase in demand is going to make the price go from $3.50 to $4.50. So the increased demand in the market raises the price, and the price goes up for the firm. The demand curve shifts from the red to the yellow, and now they'll produce where MR equals MC, which would be at a quantity of 600. But the average total cost of making 600 looks to be a little bit more than $3.50. I estimated it to be $3.60, which means since the price is now above the average total cost, they're making a positive profit. We could estimate how much it is. It would be about 90 cents. The difference between the price and the ATC, 90 cents times 600 would be about $540 of profit. But if you're making positive economic profit, in the long run, that means more firms will enter this particular market, because there aren't any barriers that keep them out. So as long as the economic profits are positive, there's an incentive for new firms to enter the market. And as firms enter the market, that market supply curve is going to start to shift. It's going to start to shift to the right because there are more firms. As the supply curve shifts to the right, it moves along the demand curve and the price will start to drop. The price in the long run is not going to stay at $4.50. It's got to come down because the profits attract more firms and the supply would increase. The supply will keep increasing until the price will keep increasing as long as firms are entering, and firms have the incentive to enter as long as economic profits are positive. When economic profits are no longer positive, the incentive for firms to enter stops and you would reach a long-run equilibrium. And in this case, assuming it's a constant cost industry, the price is going to have to fall back down to $3.50, which means the supply curve has to shift far enough to make the market price $3.50 again. And there's the new supply curve. So the increased demand caused the price to go up, which enabled the firms to make a profit. And that was the incentive for more of the good to be produced because firms entered, and eventually enough firms entered so that the supply increased by as much as the demand had increased previously. So essentially consumers expressed an additional desire for this good, and the market caused the supply to increase by the amount of the additional good consumers want. So in the long run, economic profits attracts more firms, increased number of firms, which leads to an increase in the supply, which leads to a decrease in the price, and this process will continue until profits equal zero, which means the price has to get back to the break-even price of $3.50. One example of how competitive markets adjust to change in the long run.